My dear respected brothers in Islam, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, that Allah Azza wa Jal yet again extends our life, that we witness this blessed month, the beginning of it, and we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to extend our lives until the end so we can reap the reward, most of it from this blessed month. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, this is a great blessing of Allah Azza wa Jal that He gave you this opportunity. And inshallah ta'ala, just in a few minutes, I'd like to share with you something from the beginning of the passage in Surah Al-Baqarah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses the issue of Ramadhaan and fasting. Very briefly, just so we can understand exactly what are we doing in our fasting. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu kutiba alaykum as-siyam kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqoon. Very famous ayah, it's heard over and over again, but I just wanted to share with you something about it. Allah Azza wa Jalla says in the ayah, O you who believe, fasting has been prescribed upon you, just as it has been prescribed upon those before you. Meaning for us it's an obligation, for the people before it was also an obligation. What was the whole purpose of fasting? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so you may get this thing called taqwa. Allah Azza wa Jalla is promising that at the end of 30 months, you get something called taqwa, you graduate with that. It's very important to understand something, and that is that the commandment of fasting only happened once in the Quran. When you fast, when I fast, when your kids are fasting, when the half Muslim is fasting, when everyone is fasting, they are fasting because Allah said it in only one place in the Quran. That is, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ. Whoever witnesses the month, he shall fast. Just one word, it's not even an ayah, it's just part of an ayah, and the entire ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as good as he is and as bad as this person is, they will all fast and 30 days in a row. But what fasting is supposed to get you, which is taqwa, has been mentioned over 200 times in the Quran. And subhanallah, it's by the wisdom of Allah Azza wa Jal. He knew what I mention and say once, everyone will do without repetition. And what I mention over 200 times, it's the very same thing people run even after every single day, and that is the taqwa, and we still fall short from it. So what we understand from this is Allah Azza wa Jalla is teaching us that finishing the 30 days, if Allah has decreed for you life, that you live to the end of Ramadan, you'll finish 30 days. But only a few will graduate with this thing called taqwa. So Allah Azza wa Jalla teaches us its importance by mentioning the commandment of fasting once and speaking to us about taqwa more than 200 times in the Quran. The purpose of Ramadan isn't to finish 30 days. As we said, if Allah has decreed for your life, you'll finish. But only a few would graduate with this thing called taqwa. So what is taqwa exactly, and what is it from, and how is it attained? Very briefly, inshallah. The word taqwa, most of us understand it as being fearing Allah Azza wa Jalla, or being God conscious. But even then, that's only part of the meaning of taqwa, it's not the full meaning. The word taqwa comes from the word wiqayah, it comes from the word ittiqa, which actually means protection. So now taqwa is actually made up of two things. It's made up of fear plus protection. That is what taqwa is, fear and protection. Let me give you an example so you can understand this. If it was 3 a.m. at night, and you're sleeping and your kids are sleeping, your wife is sleeping, the house is very, very quiet, the street is quiet, everyone's sleeping, it's 3 a.m. and you hear some noise outside, and you sort of make up it's someone that's trying to break into your house, and you hear that sound outside. You don't stay in bed, there's some sort of fear inside of you, you get up and you go towards the door, you make sure it's locked, either you try to sound the alarm, you get your phone, you call for help, you do something. But you know, when you're making sure the door is locked, you're engaged in an act of taqwa. That's what taqwa is. That there was fear inside, which made you get up and protect yourself from whatever thing is outside. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, for example, he says in the hadith, ittaqun nar, you fear the fire. Also it means protect yourself from the fire. And then he said, how? وَلَوْ بِشِقِّ تَمْرَةٍ, even if it was to give half a date, fi sabilillah. Meaning, you feared the fire, ittaqun nar, you fear it. And what did you do about your fear of the fire? You got up and you put between you and the fire a curtain, even if it was half a date, so you can protect yourself from its heat. Okay, so that is what taqwa is. So in other words, Allah Azza wa Jal is saying fast, and I'll give you taqwa. I'll give you protection. This is the equation. And by the way, this ayah is not limited to Ramadan. This ayah, Allah Azza wa Jal is saying, fast, I give you taqwa. Whether that fasting was in Ramadan or whether it's other than Ramadan, this is working the same for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that He'll give you protection. But then the understanding is, He's saying you fast and He guarantees you protection. Protection from what? You need to understand what protection is Allah going to give you after 30 days. This is understood to be a protection from so many things. This is why He didn't say what it is. So Allah Azza wa Jal didn't say لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ النَّارِ, so that you may be protected from the fire. He didn't say لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ الْأَمْرَاضِ, so that you may be protected from sicknesses and disease. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ الشَّيْطَانِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ السَّخَطَ اللَّهِ. He didn't mention nothing. And because He didn't mention anything, then that would mean that there's tawassu' fil ma'na, there's vastness in meaning He'll protect you from so many things that the list would have been too long had He mentioned after tattaqun, so He just didn't mention it. And that opens up the door that He'll protect you from many things. And let me just conclude with this. What is He going to protect you from? The first understanding is that He'll protect you from falling into the haram. After 30 days of correct, proper fasting, He'll protect you from falling into the haram. How does that make sense? Because during the days of Ramadan, you're staying away from that which is halal. You have an apple in front of you. The apple is halal, but right now it's haram. You can't have it, you can't eat it. Your wife, who you lived for 8, 9, 10, 20 years, she's halal, but right now it's become haram. And similarly to water and whatever you have of food in front of you during the day of Ramadan, that becomes haram, although it's halal food. But you can't eat it until Maghrib. So what you're training yourself is that at the end of 30 days, the fact that you were able to stay away from that which is halal would mean that now you're able to stay away from that which is haram. So this is the first protection Allah gives you. If you fast 30 days correctly and properly, Allah Azza wa Jal gives you a protection from the haram. You won't fall into the haram. This makes sense. Because after Ramadan, you're supposed to, if you're going to fall into something haram, you're supposed to be thinking that 30 days I stayed away from that which is halal, most definitely I can stay away from that which is haram. So this is the logic that's understood behind this ayah. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. First one, protected from the haram. The second, protected from the fire of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, whosoever fasts one day fi sabilillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will turn his face away from Jahannam 70 years. And the ulama didn't limit this hadith to other than Ramadan. They said also Ramadan is included. So when you fast a day of Ramadan, you're fasting it for the sake of Allah. And each of those days is turning away from Jahannam, your face away from Jahannam 70 years. So Allah Azza wa Jalla is giving you protection from Jahannam, from the fire, if you fast 30 days correctly. The other thing is, we read a lot of time in research, in medical studies and so on. They speak a lot about the health benefits of fasting. And you know, it's tied, this idea is tied, that fasting has lots of medical benefits, for the blood and for the sugar levels of the blood and of the body and for the liver and for the heart and how it functions, and so many things about how fasting protects from sicknesses and disease. Oh, we already know this. Allah Azza wa Jalla has said, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Fast, I'll give you protection. One of the meanings is I'll protect you from sicknesses and disease. Right? So that's also a guarantee in this ayah. And then the other thing, and let me finish with this, is that Allah Azza wa Jal is offering also protection from waswasat al-shaytan, from this real enemy that you'll face after Ramadan, and that is the waswasa and the temptations of this devil. You fast correctly, properly in 30 days, Allah Azza wa Jal will protect you from his whispers later on. How does this make sense? You need to understand that when you fast, you need to fast properly. And fasting is, we got to consider it. Sometimes in the tafasir they refer to Ramadan as a mu'askar. This is what they refer to it as, a mu'askar. Meaning they refer to it like a military camp, like a training camp. That's what they refer to it as. So in other words, they were saying that Ramadan in its entirety, 30 days, it's like a training course. But what do we understand from that? You know, any training that exists in the world is always easier than the real thing. It's very easy. They go easy in training. So if you train to be a medical officer, for example, they go very easy, very, very easy at the beginning in training. You'll attend to fake dummies. You'll do surgery on fake dummies, fake blood, right? And when you're ready enough and you've qualified, then you're taken to the real world. Will you really attend to serious sick people and blood and so on? So, if you did not train properly, you won't be able to do the job correctly. And Ramadan works the same thing. You need to train properly in order so that you can fight the temptation of the shaitan after all. What do I mean by training properly? Meaning that when you fast, you make sure you understand that fasting is not about you can't eat and can't drink and can't practice relations with your wife. That's not it. That's just something of the meaning of fasting. Fasting, training properly, would mean that your entire body fasts. So that your tongue will fast from speaking the haram, from lying, from gossip, from slander, from insults, from swearing, from backbiting. This has to stop. And it doesn't only stop during the day, also the night. Some people think it's haram to backbite during the day. So if his brother said, let's backbite this, we'll backbite him after futur, it's alright now. And that's wrong. Because this has to fast the days and the nights. The nights are also part of Ramadan. So you need to refrain from speaking the haram. You need to fast from speaking the haram. You need to, this here, the eye as well. This is what kills everyone. In Ramadan and other than Ramadan. And basically if you came out of Ramadan, wallah, and you felt like there was nothing, I tell you 99% of the cause was because of your eye and your tongue. This was the main reason why you didn't benefit from Ramadan. Protect this is the thing in the tongue. That will drag the people to the hellfire, the first thing. Subhanallah, so this needs to fast from seeing the haram. It needs to fast. And it's become so common in the house, the TV is there, the breaks, the commercials are on, you walk into the street, you're in the car, driving, in the shopping, wherever it is, you seem to not control this anymore. And the eye there's a direct channel from the eye to the heart. What the eye sees of corruption, immediately the heart becomes corrupt. And what the eye sees of goodness, the heart is also good as well. You know how awesome is the feeling when you come back from Hajj or from Mecca? When so many days go by and you don't see anything, the heart relaxes. But it comes back and you see all this stuff, it makes the heart dirty and filthy again. So your eye needs to fast from seeing and looking at the haram, whether it's on the phone, or it's on the TV, or it's out on the street, whatever it is, you need to force yourself to fast from it, just like you're forcing yourself to stay away from the food. And the ear has to fast from listening to the haram. But it's also become a problem in the house, the commercial break. People before, they used to mute the TV when there's music on the TVs. There's a problem. The thumb is hurt now, it can't press mute anymore. So it's just left to run and it's a big deal. And who's the one that's learning and listening to all this? Your children around. SubhanAllah, and they think maybe the father's doing it, maybe it's alright, it's good. You don't realize it, but your children later on will grow up and start listening to music and you say, what's happening? Well, so you're the one that did that before in the first place. So you have to cut this stuff. Not only on Ramadan, but why I'm telling you it becomes in Ramadan easier because Allah is going easy on you in this month. The main culprit, the main devil, this shaitan is locked up his chain. So things are very easy in this training course. The things are very easy. So easy that Allah says, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ. I only want ease for you. And He emphasizes on how easy this month is going to be. So this is your chance to cut all this haram and to fast yourself from this haram. The hand needs to fast from the haram. Typing the haram is wrong during the day and the night. Wallahi, it doesn't make it permissible during the night that you type on the computer or on the phone. Whatever you type or you used to type, that becomes haram as well. The cigarette after futur, that's also haram. Might as well just take it during the day. What's the difference? That's haram as well. You need to cut this, and Allah is making it very easy on you in this month. يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ. And if you don't want to make it easy for yourself, when is it going to become easy that you stop that haram in your life? It won't happen. So if you force yourself and teach yourself for 30 days to refrain from that which is haram, of the eye and the tongue and the ear and the hand, then after 30 days that you've trained properly, Allah Azza wa Jal will give you that protection of the shaitan. So that when he comes and tempts you, now after Ramadan becomes the real world, now the shaitan is released. Now the temptation and the shahwa becomes even stronger. But when he comes and he tells you, let's go and watch sort of this, or go type this and watch it, or let's backbite this such and such, you'd say, hang on, I've spent 30 days, I kept myself away from that stuff. You want to destroy it for me now in a few seconds? I don't want it. Then naturally your inside would speak like this. But if you've been 30 days and you didn't care about who you spoke about or what you watched, why would you think it'll be different after Ramadan? It won't. So you need to train yourself 30 days. Stay away from it as much as you can. And after Ramadan, if he comes, you'll know how to deal with him. And let me just conclude with this beautiful example to make the image even closer. You know, they say, and think of this example. Two people wanted to undergo military training. They wanted to become soldiers and serve in an army. So they had to undergo military training. And one of the activities in the military training required that there's a finish line. You have to cross the finish line, but before the finish line there's a wall. So both of them, they need to train for 30 days. They have to get to the finish line. One, he walks, he runs, he gets to the wall. He sees it, it's very high, there's lots of effort required. First time he does this, he struggles. At the beginning, he gets above the wall and he gets to the finish line. And he's doing this for 30 days. And he's getting better at it. His friend, he gets to the wall, sees it is too long, too much of an effort. He goes around the wall and then he gets to the finish line. Both of them get to the finish line, 30 days. They graduate, they get their certificate and off you go. A few months later, they're called for service. You need to come and attend, do some military service. So they go to the real war now, the real war. Training was easy. They go to the real war and they're stuck in a situation in where the enemy now is chasing them and they're running away. And there's a wall. The one that trained properly would jump the wall and run away from the enemy. The other one, he'd come to the wall, he'd run left and right, where's he going to go? He gets killed right then and there because he didn't train properly. What this teaches you is that if you train properly, then later on when you're in the real world, in the war with the shaitan, you'll be able to climb the wall of temptation easily. That's all right. Now, there will be some effort, but it will be easy for you. But if you did not train properly now, then after Ramadan, when the wall of temptation of the shaitan is in front of you, you're going to get trapped, walk left and right, you're going to fall because you really didn't have any real training in Ramadan. So train yourself, cut this from the haram, especially from lying, cut it from lying. Man, people is brushing his teeth, where are you? I'm on the way, I'm in the car. You're not in the car, you're still at home. That's considered lying. That's considered lying. Speak the truth, teach yourself to speak the truth. You might not see the benefit of it today, but Allah says, هَذَا يَوْمُ يَنْفَعُ الصَّادِقِينَ صِدْقُهُم. Maybe you don't see the benefit of speaking the truth today, but Allah says it is on that day in where the people who spoke the truth would benefit from their truth. Over there, maybe not now, maybe. Right? So train yourself properly, refrain from haram. Don't speak it, train yourself. This eye, close it, wherever it is. Don't look, go and look down, look up, look wherever. In the house, turn that TV off if it's going to corrupt you and destroy you and your family and your wife and so on. And the ear also, fast it from the haram. And then you'll find Allah will give you protection after Ramadan. Wallah, He'll take you to places where there is no haram to see. He'll take you to places where there is no haram to hear. He'll do this. كُنْتُ سَمْعَهُ الَّذِي أَسْمَعُ بِهِ وَبَصَّرَهُ الَّذِي يُبْصِرُ بِهِ. Allah becomes the eye in which you see, meaning you'll only see halal. Allah becomes the ear in which you hear, meaning you'll only hear halal. And Allah will take you to places like that and will avoid you from places of haram. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us in this month. We ask Allah azza wa jal to make it easy upon us all that we refrain and abstain from that which is haram. We ask Allah azza wa jal to make us people of the Quran, people who benefit from the reminders of the Quran. إنه ولي ذلك والقادر عليه. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.